The other thing, of course, which you've cared hugely about in recent years is HS2. Aren't you being just a little bit Luddite? I mean, you're the son of a railway family. HS2 is a great railway project. Why is it? Are you being Luddite? Are you being NIMBY-ish? Surely HS2 is a good thing.
It's the job of every MP. The first basic task is to try to represent the interests of the people who voted for them. And some of the others who didn't vote for them but live in the area. And so my initial response to HS2 was admittedly parochial. On the day it was announced, a member of my staff and myself put a leaflet through the 200-odd flats which would be demolished, the homes of over 500 people. And it would also be the case, if it went through, that about more than 5,000 people would be left for 15 or 20 years overlooking a demolition, engineering and construction site, which would be hell on earth to live next to.
So we shouldn't have progress because people have to put up with an engineering site.
No, there's change and there's progress, and you shouldn't confuse the two.
And HS2 is not progress.
HS2 is not progress. HS2 is a grotesque waste of money, because, as I say, I started off parochially opposed to it, but it's gradually become clearer and clearer. First of all, that the people putting it forward haven't the faintest idea what they're doing, and secondly, that £50 billion, £50 billion, that's half what the NHS uses in a year. £50 billion to allegedly speed up a railway, if it ever gets built.
But, I mean, firstly, your own party is in favour of it in principle.
Yeah, they're wrong.
Secondly, that 50 billion is over a long period of time. And thirdly, as people have now admitted, HS2 is not really about speed, it's about capacity.
Well, let's get this clear. First of all, it was about speed. Oh, really whizzing about.
No, they sold it on.
Then it was going to be when people saw through the speed argument, they moved over to capacity. Then when people saw through the capacity argument, they started saying it was to bring about help further economic development in the big cities in the Midlands and the North. And I can remember in the House of Commons, very occasionally the Hansard puts laughter after a joke. Very unusual. But one of my colleagues was getting up, speaking in favour of it, and the opportunities it would provide for the big cities that would eventually be connected in about 2040. Okay, so I said, well, it's £50 billion, and it's 5 cities mainly. It's Birmingham, Nottingham, Sheffield, Leeds, and Manchester. That's 5. So if you gave each of those cities 10 billion from the 50, right? Do you think that to promote their economic development, the first thing they'd do would be to club together to build a new railway? Laughter, and everybody laughed, because it is a preposterous idea.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, on the disruption, I mean, clearly there would be, but it would also potentially regenerate a large part of the area around Euston.
Doesn't need regenerating.
If you look at what's happened at King's Cross,
yes, which I was in favour of.
Which you were in favour of. But do you remember the period when HS1 was being planned? And I grew up in Islington, and there were huge rows about we were going to be living on a construction site for 15 years, and none of those fears proved to be true.
No, but you weren't, because you were going to be living over a tunnel, which is an entirely different matter. And I was a strong supporter of
But there was still
HS1
there were still fears over HS1, weren't there, at that time?
There were, but I thought personally that they were wrong, and they did affect my constituency. But I stuck out against some people locally who thought it was wrong, but I thought that was right. I mean, the background to this, remember, is the first proposal for the Channel Tunnel link was that it should come into a gigantic concrete box under King's Cross, and that was we said it was rubbish, and eventually, you know, officialdom. The sort of officialdom who are now in favour of HS2 were saying, oh, it's impossible to do anything else. And I remember saying, I think I was the first person to suggest it, why not use St Pancras? Oh, that would be absolutely out of the question. And now it's the finest you know, station in Europe, probably.
Are you in favour of Crossrail 2? Is that, or...?
Well, I'm very dubious about Crossrail 2. I think what London really needs is another orbital railway, a sort of outer circle route, because very large numbers of Londoners live in one outer London borough and work in either the next one or the next but one. And the only way you can get there, really, conveniently, is by car, because there isn't very much sort of circulatory way of getting about on public transport, and I think that that would be much more valuable than Crossrail 2.